The new second generation Ryzen 7 by AMD, the 2700X, is right here, and I wanted to do a complete review about it and an unboxing as well. So I never had this CPU before. I'm gonna open it with you guys and do some benchmarking. I do have a 1700X right now running, and I really want to see the differences between the two and also see the price and if it's really worth it. What's special about this CPU, which is a little different from others, is the fan and the heatsink. It's actually much beefier, kind of ones that you're buying aftermarket when you want to do overclocking. So it's beefier, it has copper tubing, it has a big heatsink, it has an Rgb fan, so it has a really cool features which I normally don't see in a CPU box. You can see compared to Intel how small the box is. And that's because the beefier heatsink and CPU fan that's included in the box. Now let's do the unboxing, see what comes inside, and then let's do some benchmarks with some gaming and some video rendering. For me, I'm actually like the fact that it has 8 core and 16 threads. I do need more and more cores and more threads because when I do editing, I do it in 4K and it takes forever. My Alienware has an i7 7th generation CPU and it's quite slow when I do rendering. This one has 8 cores and 16 threads. I'm pretty confident that this CPU will be better at rendering, as rendering anyways is CPU heavy on Premiere Pro. Also, the new AMD Ryzen 7 2700X has 3.7 GHz base clock speeds and 4.3 GHz max boost, even though I heard that most people didn't manage to reach 4.3 GHz boost because different limitations and bottlenecking. So let's go ahead and do the unboxing and see what's inside. Another thing I wanted to check also is what happens if I swap out the original heatsink compound, the thermal paste grease that comes with the AMD. I want to see if the original one is as good as the Arctic MX-4. We have a box here, that's probably the fan. I can see the fan from here with the AMD logo. And we have another box here. Yes, that's the Ryzen 7 second generation 2700X CPU right here. You have an AMD sticker that you can put on your computer to show it off to your friends. Pretty much that's it. So let's go ahead and start with the Rgb fan. I'm really curious about this one. Whew, look at that. 4 total copper piping comes straight out of the box. We have 2 here, 2 here. There's already a nice even spread of heatsink compound, and you can see it's actually pretty thin. I can learn from this. This is pretty perfect. Probably a machine applied this already. We're gonna try the original paste and then I'm gonna swap it to an aftermarket paste and see if there's any performance changes. We have the CPU fan connector right here. We have some extra connectors here, but I'm thinking those are for USB to control your RGB lights. The AMD sign has RGB lights. The fan itself light up white, and there is also the ring here with more LEDs you can change. And so I'm gonna put this way on the table so it doesn't smudge all the compound paste everywhere. In the box we have 2 cables right here. Oh, okay, so I can already tell that there is a USB cable. Basically it's a USB adapter, it's not a USB cable. This goes directly to the motherboard and that'll be able to let you control some LED lights. This one is some sort of an adapter, maybe for, I'm not sure what is it for, but it's an adapter here, and it also connects to the fan. For the CPU, is a little box for that too. It comes out like this. Here is the CPU right here. It has the pins coming out. I wish it was the same as Intel. I like it much better when it's flat, but whatever, you know, that's what AMD is doing. And now we have the instruction page. You know what to do with this, whatever. And then that's it. So we have the original 1700X in my setup right here. I'm gonna gently take it out. I know when you take out AMD cards, sometimes they get stuck get stick and come out with the CPU. Okay, this time it didn't do it. This is the original from AMD. This is the heatsink block. You can see it's pretty small compared to the one that came with it. It does have copper center. You can see it through the heatsink, and that's cool, but you know, the pipes are much better. I'm gonna go ahead and swap out the 1700X and put in the 2700X right in there. Now for the big boy with the original paste, by the way. I'm gonna turn on and see how the lights look like. Oh yeah, that looks pretty. So I guess you can change the color of the inside of the fan, the color around here and the color of the AMD. So there's definitely a few options here. Thumbs up to AMD. It looks like they do care about gamers. Look at that. Yes, if I spend 300 something bucks, I want to have a nice fan come with it as well. Much better than paying for one, I guess. I did use the MX-4 thermal paste compared to the original one. I tried both and see which one is really better, but I did notice that for sure the MX-4 is much better than the original. It's pretty easy to swap it. For the max clock speeds, I managed to reach 4.25 GHz with the Ryzen 7 2700X, overclocking it with the aftermarket MX-4 Arctic thermal paste. It's not possible to overclock the CPU with the original paste. It's just not high performance enough. The block heatsink itself though is pretty big, so you can definitely overclock it a little bit if with the original heatsink. The 1700X, there's absolutely no way to overclock it as it gets way too hot, and the block is so small and the CPU is so small, so there's no way to overclock it. I did notice that the temperatures are very low for this Ryzen 7, and as low as 32 degrees actually with the MX-4 repasting job, and as high as 89 degrees when you overclock it. The original CPU fan really does its job really well. Look at the Ryzen 7 1700X. It reached 95 degrees Celsius. This is so high, and it causes throttling even on basic clocking speeds. When you look at Cinebench scores, you can really see where the Ryzen 2nd generation shines compared to the first generation. Ryzen 7 1700X only reached 1537 score, and on the second run reached 1490, probably because of the small heatsink and fan included. But when we look at the Ryzen 7 2nd generation 2700X with the MX-4 paste and overclocking, we reach 1862 on the Cinebench scores, and on the second try we reach very close score. The differences between the first and the second test on the 2700X is about the same because of the upgraded CPU fan and heatsink that it's included in the box. I did not see much difference of gaming performance, something about 10% more FPS, but that's about it. I did not notice it much. But if you really care about FPS in very heavy games, you might be able to achieve higher scores than this, especially if you use higher RAM clock speeds and a better motherboard. Guys, I really like this CPU. It has a really high performance when it comes to rendering, pretty good performance for gaming, and overall a good CPU for many different users. The price is perfect, and also I really like they give you the Rgb fan with the LED lights and a really big heatsink with it that gives you an opportunity to even overclock it if you wish, because usually AMD and CPU from Intel, for example, comes with a really small, like a little fan heatsink, and it's not really enough for what we need, us gamers and video editors. It's really bottlenecking everything and even throttling sometimes. So big thumbs up for AMD to give you this really cool fan included in the box. Leave a comment below if you're gonna upgrade your current first generation Ryzen, or you're gonna build a whole new computer with the second generation Ryzen. Don't forget to leave a like to this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel for more cool videos. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.